Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Elsie and this is
Tony.
Well, today we're talking about a very important topic, dare I say so myself. And we're talking about the importance of families and what some of the effects of breakdown of families can cause. And I think we're on the same page when we say we're not necessarily saying that so far as there's a breakdown in family, then the children are going to turn out badly, because we do know certain single parent households where the children have turned out fine.
They've done brilliantly, yeah.
On the other hand, though, we cannot ignore the daunting effects of family breakdown. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
That's true. I mean, the statistics are there,
Yes.
which are reflected whether it's in educational opportunities, in crime, in imprisonment, whatever. Children who have come from broken homes or dysfunctional homes,
Yes.
single parent families, are statistically more likely to suffer some of these outcomes than others.
Yeah.
Now, that obviously may be due to a variety of things, not just the fact that there's only one parent in the house.
Yes.
And incidentally, as far as parents go, I mean, I think we've got about 20% of households in the UK here are headed by lone parents. And of them, 90%, or 20 out of 22, I think it is, percent are women.
Women, yeah.
And children, especially boys, need a father figure. They need to be disciplined. They need to be kept right, not for the sake of beating up the kids, for the sake that he grows up into a responsible, mature human being who's then able to take family responsibility himself,
Yes.
love and cherish his wife in the future, and bring up his children to be good citizens. So, a family is something so very personal at one level, but it's absolutely everybody's business, because we all have to live with the product of other people's decisions and the children that they have and how they've been brought up.
Yes.
We're not just isolated, we can't just leave them out. So whether it's irresponsible drivers or whether it's people breaking into your home or whatever it happens to be, then we're all involved, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I quite like, I'm quite interested in the fact that you said especially boys need their fathers to grow up into responsible and mature human beings. And not to say that women cannot raise up boys to become responsible and mature, but we also can't take away from the important role that fathers play in boys' lives and in girls' lives as well. Now, on that note, I wanted to ask you, since I think you're the best person to answer this question. Traditionally, what do you think? And I stress on the point traditionally just because I think that family dynamics have changed in today's world. So again, traditionally, what do you think women or mothers contribute to children's lives, and what do fathers contribute to children's lives? What are the separate roles that they play that you think that on their own they just cannot do fully?
Wow. Well, traditionally, I mean, if you like, fathers were more, apart from the fact that, once again, traditionally, which is what changing as far as the economic provision, fathers were the providers. They were also, if you like, the final court when it comes to sort of discipline.
Yes.
And the mother was, if you like, famous for tenderness and closeness to the children, because she was genuinely, let's face it, I mean, a mother from the earliest times, she's carried that child for 9 months.
Yeah.
In a very, very, very intimate relationship, which the father has not. So his relationship is slightly different, slightly more distant. And yes, very, very, should be very loving, very caring. But there's it's a different quality. But what shouldn't be limited is the quantity of love, which is given by both, but given in a different way. Rather like, what am I thinking of? Yeah, take an orchestra, take a band. The different instruments in that band, they complement each other, but they have a different role, they have a different range, they do all these things.
Yes.
But coming together, they produce an effect which people like.
Yeah.
And I think that may be a bad analogy for how a mother and a father can work together.
True.
Like that.
True.
Now, can you? Yes, of course you can have a solo of any instrument, and that's a different thing again. As to whether it's better for the child or the children to be brought up with the solo as opposed to the duet. And you know, the evidence, for what it's worth, apart from any traditional beliefs or religious customs or anything like that, the evidence shows that the outcomes on any measurable field are better statistically than for children who are coming from married homes as opposed to single parents.
Yes. I do think that it's a little bit sad when people try to stress the point and make it look as if it makes no difference whether children are brought up in a single parent household or in a 2-parent household, because if you look at it in terms of the human body, we've got 2 hands, but some people actually come out with 1 hand, and like, you're not saying that those people cannot be successful in life, but obviously 2 hands are better than 1.
Thank you for that profound observation.
And comparing it to the single or couple parent situation, obviously you can get married, your husband can pass away, which is due to no fault of yours. And I feel like that's the argument that a lot of people make, that, oh, what if your husband dies? Well, that's due to no fault of yours. But on the other hand, we shouldn't be promoting single parent households, because the effects of, like, the statistics are there. Actually, there was one statistic I saw that 70% of juvenile criminals are fatherless, which is a very scary statistic, because 70% is a very huge number. And when you go down on the statistics, I think you were mentioning that 90% of single parent families are women. And then further down, you realize that in most families, the men earn more than the women.
Yeah.
So obviously, if now you're putting the family in a poverty situation, if the woman is not earning enough, and she's the sole provider for the child,
and she's the sole carer as well, you know.
Yeah. So now you're talking, she's emotionally unavailable. Financially, she cannot provide for the child as well. So now you're thinking, what kind of society are we?
Well, I mean, it's natural when you think of there's a lot of people would say, well, hang on a second, it's not as simple as that. And I agree, it's not as simple as just a child from a single parent household. They say, because you've got to take the other factors into consideration. The other factors being less money coming in if there's one person who's working maybe part-time, as opposed to somebody, usually the male partner, but not necessarily, working full-time. But if there's less money coming into the house, okay, there's economic sort of financial poverty. Okay, that's one of the factors. Well, hang on a second, but if that's one of the factors, that's one of the results or the sequels to a single-parent situation. It's not written in the stars that it has to be single parents. In actual fact, it could be written in the stars that there should be 2 parents, because it actually does take 2 people
to make a child.
Yeah,
true.
You know.
Yeah.
Despite the advances
Very
of
good
medical
point,
science,
actually.
Yeah.
It takes 2 people to make a child.
Yeah. Well, there should be 2 people to be involved in the raising and feeding and educating and socializing that child.
Yeah.
So that the child is happy, well adjusted, becoming a good member of I'm a good member of society, because we've all got to put up with each other in society. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, if we give an example, a young guy, he's been brought up, we'll say, to be, or not brought up, but he's irresponsible. Yes, okay. He doesn't think there's any harm in speeding like crazy through a built-up area. He knocks your kid over. Okay, your kid's dead. Why? Because he wasn't brought up properly. And that happens. I mean, this is real life kind of thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, I hate to sort of have to say this, but most of that kind of crime, if you like, and stupidity is done by males as opposed to females.
Females, yeah.
You know, they may well have their own special area of stupidity, but that's this kind of violence and aggression like that. No, that's primarily.
And dare I say that if you, not that I have the statistics in this moment in time, but I'm pretty sure that if you check for these people who behave in these ways, this kind of violence behavior, you can trace it back to single parent households. Yeah. We have come to the end of our program. Yeah, but before we end, I actually wanted to ask you, because we're very young and you have a lot of experience, so I wanted to ask you, what do you think because I think that the rate of family breakdown is quite high these days, and just for the upcoming generation and the current generation, I don't think all hope is lost, because I think there's still things we can do to make sure that the family dynamic does not completely just tear to pieces. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think we can do to make sure that family, that traditional family that we had decades ago, even though I think at this point we're kind of losing hope as to whether we can still have that, but what do you think we can do to make sure that we don't completely lose it?
To make sure we don't completely lose it. Yeah. Well, we've tried many different ways, and as I say, the statistics show us that these ways aren't as successful at bringing well-adjusted young people, children, up to be well-adjusted young adults. Yeah. So I'm afraid it's something to do with tradition, bringing people up basically with a respect for legitimate authority. Yeah. Now, I would suggest the legitimate authority we need to start off with is that for the Creator, to be grateful for our existence. And because we're grateful for our existence and we're grateful for the lives of other people, we treat them with respect. Hence, if the boy marries a girl, then he's expected to treat her with respect, with affection, with care. And that's the matrix that I think children need to be raised in. To turn out to be able to then pass that favour on, if you like, to the next generation.
Wise words for you and me. We have come to the end of the program. If you've enjoyed it to this point, kindly like, comment, subscribe,
and share.
Until next time, it's bye for now.
Bye.
If you like this video, kindly like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find us on other social media platforms, on Twitter at Talk with Tony and on Instagram at talkwithtony.live. Don't forget, live, laugh, and most importantly, love. Watch out for the next video. It's bye for now.